Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to this global healing circle. My name is Nora. I am a spiritual life coach and an energy healer from Finland. Then we have Christina. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Christina, and I am currently in upstate New York, and I am a holistic well-being coach, and I help people with their mind, body, and soul.
And Amos?
My name is Amos Campbell. I'm a full spectrum healer from Peoria, Arizona. And full spectrum healing is musculoskeletal therapy, medical reflexology, Reiki master, and meditation facilitation.
Perfect. And today we have a special guest. Thank you for coming with a very short notice of just like a few hours. Valbona, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Valbona Mejzini. I'm a wellness coach. Usually work with people who have problems with sleep, or if they suffer from insomnia, which is a condition of sleep. And also I work with people who have any kind of well-being issue that they want to, probably by changing their lifestyle, they are interested to improve their health, especially women with menopause and anything that affects their health and well-being.
Perfect. So, and today's subject is actually sleep and the quality of sleep and sleeping problems and insomnia. So let's first try to figure out what is insomnia. Valbona, you want to give your answer?
Yeah. Insomnia is a sleep condition. It's not an illness, as many people think that it's illness. It's a condition. Which can be regulated. It's something which happens if people don't sleep, for example, 3 times a week, and if it continues 1 month, that people have got disrupted sleep, and then it is known as insomnia. It can go for months, for weeks, for months, and even for years. So it triggers by something. Insomnia doesn't come just like that. Something triggers that. Either problems that people cannot cope with that. Sometimes people may have problems that they are not aware about these problems that can affect so badly and impact on their sleep. It can be because of the routine of lifestyle. We know that during pandemics, people have got into a new routine. For example, they have slept late, they sleeping pattern have changed. And then with that, the eating has been changed and lots of things in their daily life. For example, the living condition have changed. So many people being in one space with children studying from home, and then parents working from home. It's all that crowded environment which affected people in different ways. And then other family problems, because when you are in an environment with all family members with whom you were not in the usual time, everybody went to school, children went to school, parents went to work, and suddenly everything had changed, and that had very bad impact. And the thing is that the brain gets that routine. It's just something that records that routine. And if you don't take action to change that routine and you continue with that routine, so then the brain learns that these are the patterns. And people usually, this social media, for example, has got a very negative impact because people are a lot in social media, on the phones until late. And there are lots of factors which, affect sleep. Now it depends from person to person. If you go to GP, because I have that issue for 3 years, I have suffered insomnia really badly. And until I took myself in my hands and I made so many changes, I could not improve this condition. So when I went to the GP gave me not medication, he gave me sleep hygiene. There is a form which is like an advice what you have to do to improve sleep. But for me, lots of things in that list did not, they were not appropriate for me, because I am not a person who drink too many coffees. I drink only 1 coffee and lots of things. So insomnia.
Can you go into some of the things that they look at?
In the sleep hygiene, yeah, there are a list of things that you should do or you shouldn't do in order to improve sleep. For example, they say that you can't drink so many caffeine during the day. Alcohol can affect your sleep. Smoking can affect your sleep. Then, I mean, these mobiles, because they have blue lights, it can affect your retina in your eyes and melatonin. These blue lights are really bad, that they will affect your sleep and lots of other things. But for me, in coaching, what I have found out that you cannot tell people what to do in order to sleep. You have to find out why they are not sleeping. You have to find out what they are doing during the day. So what they have done before when they have slept and what have changed. And what can they do to improve or to make changes which can, you know, it's not a magic stick. You have to do several sessions and see what works and what doesn't. I've done a CBT training last year, and they give clients like advice what they have to do. Like, for example, if you go to bed and if you can't sleep in 10 minutes, you have to leave the room and go to other room, to sitting room, and do something else. Just relax. Don't push yourself to sleep, because the bed has to be associated with sleep. It cannot be associated with being woken up. Because if you go to bed, you stay awake, then next day you are going to be staying awake. So you have to make that connection, that relationship between sleep and bed. And lots of things. For example, I had a client who couldn't sleep, and when I said why, she didn't even think. She said, I exercise, I have a very good diet, I don't know why I don't sleep. But as the session commenced, I found out why she's not. We both found out, because I'm not there to tell her, oh, this is affecting you. I just need to raise awareness about things that she does during the day. And then why she hasn't slept is, this has been found on the session 4, that she keeps her phone on. She never switches off the phone, because she was working as a pastor in church, and she always had to be on the phone if someone needs her help, if someone is grieving or have any problem. And then I said, what happens if you, at 8 o'clock, you switch off your phone? What is going to happen? Well, I can't do that. I said, but try one time. You know, you're not going to save lives. If someone is really in big problems, there is an accident, an emergency, a hospital, you can't save lives. You cannot, yeah, but I want to be there and listen to them. And then once she tried to do that, which was a very big challenge, I had to take her away from her comfort zone to do something that she hasn't done before. And then she found out that that's what did not let her sleep, because her mind was all the time waiting if someone will call her. Yeah. So that's only one factor for one individual. Other individuals have other factors. So it's really, there is no recipe.
Right. And now we were talking about insomnia, but are there any other sleeping conditions that are very common that you work with people?
Well, insomnia is the most common condition for people with problems with sleep. I haven't come across of any other condition. If the client has got really severe chronic insomnia, they probably are in medication. So it's very difficult to work with them, but as a coach, I always have to raise awareness about what happens if they take medication for a long period of time, because that can cause, the body will tolerate that dose of medication. And eventually, after certain period of time, the individual has to increase the dosage of that medication. And what happens? The side effects will come up. Right. As well, that is the most extreme thing that may happen, is that the person can be addicted to these medication, so that it will create another condition which is more serious and more difficult to reverse then. So right. Natural way of healing this condition is the best, but people have to work hard on that and believe that it is possible.
And they really have to go inside themselves and see what is there holding them from sleeping. Yeah, interesting.
Absolutely. Because they can't think. They are so scared to think of different ways to deal with that because they are used to do same things. That routine is so, is the worst factor which affects insomnia, and you just have to stretch them from that comfort zone and make them think what is going to happen if you continue with this kind of attitude or behavior or whatever is initiating this condition. And then you raise awareness. Try. What is going to happen? You're not going to die. Nothing is going to happen. It's a test. And then when they try, they can see that, oh, that's possible. They can, and it's really mind-blowing how it works. It's a process.
Right. What other factors have you encountered, like that people have had that have kept them from sleeping? Are there any very typical?
As I said, the routine, the way they behave. I mean, sometimes people make judgment about whether they are going to sleep. Some people say, I'm going to stay till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock because I know if I go to bed, I'm not going to sleep. So at least I stay awake. So they don't try anything to improve that pattern, because they don't know. Sometimes they are not aware how insomnia or these sleep problems will affect their life until you ask questions and they can see the clear picture of their life, what is happening, where would you be if you were to sleep? How does this energy level, which you don't have, you are telling me that I have no energy, I don't have energy even to do a meal, a proper healthy meal. I just have unhealthy meal because all the time I feel hungry. I don't have motivation to go to walk, to do exercise, which is another positive factor which helps insomnia, or to do activities, whatever it is that can help them, meditation, yoga, whatever. So when you don't, sleeping is the third most important element in our life after water and food. And people sometimes don't know how important is sleep. And they just continue to suffer. And sometimes they just give up and say, okay, I'm fine. I don't sleep. I'm not going to try anything. But then the impact, you have just to raise awareness about the impact in life it has, if they continue like that.
The number one detriment to mental health is sleeplessness.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the cascade that's going to send everything down the hill the fastest. Besides eating poorly, if you don't sleep, how are you going to recover?
Exactly.
So that's why we got to introduce them with some ideas. So for my clients in the beginning, I give them a breathing technique. I call it the sylph breath. The sylph are the spirits of the wind. And in mythology, there were 4 spirits of the wind. So you're going to use your 4 finger pads. And as you breathe in, you take your thumb and you swirl them across all 4. And then when you get to the end, you blow out as you swirl back to a count of 4. So the wind swirls, the 4 winds swirl in, and then the 4 winds swirl out. And I tell people do that 4 times, back and forth, nice and slow, just to interrupt the cycle. Let's give you a breathing technique. Let's give you something physical to get you out of your head. So that's where I start people first, is the sylph breath.
Excellent.
Cool. So Amos, actually, yes, you had some other techniques too. So shall we go there at the moment? Like, how do you help your clients with these problems?
Well, it's all about interrupting the cycle, because usually the cause of sleeplessness, in my experience, is stress. So it's about interrupting the cycle. So breathing techniques is where I start everyone first. So I have a breathing technique for everything, and this is the sleeplessness. So it's the 4 winds in, 4 winds out. Next, I have acupoints for that. There are actually 3 major acupoints that I use for insomnia. And the first one is the on myon, which is where your SCM, this big old muscle in the front, attaches to the back of your skull. And when it attaches to the skull back here, there's a divot. There's a big dip point right here. And this is the on myon, and this is for sleeplessness and insomnia. Do it on both sides. There's a big old divot right behind the ear, right where this SCM attaches to the back of the skull. And it tends to be really sore in people. A lot of people grind their teeth, and it tends to be really tender. But just do that for a count of 8. Massage clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever feels better, for a count of 8. And then I tell them to do a couple breaths, and if you have to, go back. I usually do acupoints, breaths on 4 counts. I like a nice even round number. There is also heart 7 on either, yeah, it's on this left wrist, sorry, 2 fingers. Where your wrist is, go down 2 more fingers. So 4 fingers. And rub this point for insomnia and sleeplessness. And then there is the yin tong, what most people associate commonly with the third eye, or what would be the bindi point right between the two eyebrows, right there. Right there. This is the most traditional one that we all associate with. Right there. So those are your physical acupoints. We've got breath work, we've got the air element, we've got our physical points, we've got our earth elements in there. I do tend to use minerals a lot for meditative purposes. So this is usually used 5 to 10 minutes, because I tend to tell my clients you need to break from the screens for 15 minutes, 30 minutes before bed. And this is where I tell them this is where your meditation is going to be most meaningful or most useful. Most often black tourmaline. It's associated with absorbing negative energy. So letting all the stuff go at the end of your day before you go to bed, so you don't take that with you to sleep. Labradorite is a really powerful dreaming stone, as well as amethyst, but most often it's tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is the best dreaming stone, blue tiger's eye especially, and that's really the best points. And I forgot the thumb pads. In reflexology, this is the brain when you use your hands. So just to help relax someone in bed. So I just lay there in bed and I just rub my thumb pads when I can't sleep.
Speaking of minerals, what are your opinions on using like magnesium?
If you need it, absolutely.
Ingesting magnesium. I've done that myself and have found that it works really well. But does it actually work for insomnia as well?
I found it works better for muscles. People who get woken up repeatedly with muscle cramps or have restless leg, a few doses of the magnesium, they report that things feel better. And then they have a better time staying asleep because they're not being woken up by something, usually these muscle cramps. So yeah, magnesium for muscle cramps, always. And a little calcium. Little calcium goes a long way. So a little chocolate milk before bed, always good.
And how about herbal remedies? Like, for example, chamomile and stuff that calms down the nervous system.
Valerian
root and chamomile tea together is the magic combination. Most people say melatonin. I medically don't recommend melatonin because your body makes it on its own. And if you take it from an outside source, your body is like, oh, well, I'm getting it from an outside source. I don't need to make it my own. Don't get in that web. Melatonin, I only usually recommend for mothers who have just delivered babies. It really helps with the postpartum for those like 3 weeks. But other than that, I don't recommend melatonin. It's always valerian root, like an excipient-free vegan tablet, and good chamomile tea together. And that's the hypno charm. Every time. Every time.
Root, I have a problem because it smells like cheese.
It smells like dirty feet. Yeah.
It does. It does.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah, plug the nose. Yeah, my cat goes crazy over it.
But actually, I just want to make sure that this is a good thing to suggest a person who is suffering from insomnia. Like, it's not diminishing their problem if you say that these herbal remedies, they might help. Because I'm just thinking the psychological side of insomnia, like as a person who has never suffered it, it's very difficult to understand what it is to go through it. So is it better to just keep my mouth shut and be like, I'm so sorry that you are having this issue? Or is it actually something you wish to hear from another person? Like, have you tried chamomile and valerian? Do you know?
I'm always going to suggest something. I'm always going to say, have you thought of this? Have you heard of this? Have you tried of this? I'm always going to say, have you?
Yeah,
we're going to
right.
see what's going up. Only because as a former addict and as someone who works with addicts, I always want to make sure that we're not leaning on something and making a crutch. That's why I don't lean towards melatonin. And again, if you're not sleeping for 3 nights out of a week, first I'm going to send you to your medical doctor. If you're on my table, then I'm going to give you these over-the-counter remedies. If they continue to not work, then we're going to have to find something else. So
Right.
if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't want people to lean on something if it's not working.
Perfect. Perfect. So how about Valbona, in your work, like what are the kind of practical tips that you give your clients? On top of that, you try to dig out the root cause, but is there something we haven't yet talked about?
As a coach, I don't give advice what to do. I try to raise awareness with open questions and these magic coaching questions to help the client find out what exactly helped them. I use mindfulness as well, such as meditation. I'm in process of doing the EFT, emotional freedom technique, which I've done it before for myself about 10 years ago, and it helped me so much. So this is what I'm doing a course on that, which I am going to apply with my coaching. It's extremely powerful, and it is usually for clients who are really, really struggling to move on with their own habits. I mean, to take action and change things in their lives. So tapping helps a lot with insomnia. So you just make the client go deep and into their thoughts. And with tapping, they have to mention, you have to ask them to say things and tap to these specific areas in the body. It's like a needless acupuncture, it is called. So, my eureka is when the client finds out exactly what works for them. What works for me, it won't work for you or with anyone else. So you have to help the client find out what is the best way, what is the best method that can help them. And as I said, it has to go about 3-4 sessions. Sometimes you can find it in second session, but it works. It works as soon as the client finds out where the problem is, how to accept that problem, because it may be a same problem for different people, but there would be different reaction to that problem, different response. Right. So you just have to measure the level of response to the problem. For me, for example, the stress is another thing. People may experience stress about something that they are not aware that particular thing can cause so much stress in their life. And we know that when the stress level increases, then increases the stress hormone, which is cortisol. And if it is releases in a high dosage, if our body releases cortisol more than it should be, because cortisol is one of the most important hormones in our body. It regulates energy, metabolism, cardiovascular system, blood sugar, everything. It gives us energy to wake up in the morning. But if it is released in an amount more than normal, it will have a reverse effect. It will affect blood sugar in blood. It will affect our cardiovascular system. It will affect everything, our energy. So it will have totally disaster effect in our life. So the stress is probably the most important. And insomnia, of course, which is one which we are talking about. So stress is, as you, Amos, said, stress is the greatest factor that can affect. Number one. And number two is the change of routine and lifestyle.
Well, I wanted to just touch on, if you could, a little bit about sleep and menopause, because I think that's something that is, I'm kind of in that age range, and I'm sure some of our viewers are also. So just curious, in your practice, what are you finding with women who are going through pause or premenopause, perimenopause? What's happening in their sleep and why that's happening?
Okay. When women go through the transition period of perimenopause or menopause, as I said, because of the symptoms, mainly, which is the hot flashes, majority of women experience hot flashes.
And can you explain what that is? What are hot flashes?
The hot flashes is because of the decrease of estrogen hormone in our body. These are all, everything is just this, when the decrease of estrogen goes down. So it sends messages to our brain that, for example, it says Christina is cold, it's freezing cold. And Christina is in the beach having a fantastic time, you know, taking a sunbath, and the brain then automatically sends messages to the heart, you know, passes the message that Christina is cold, is freezing, and the heart starts to pump, you know, and opens the blood vessels, and then the blood vessels go and activate the sweating glands, and then the temperature body, and then these glands and the body releases this high temperature in menopausal women. So this is all because the decrease of estrogen, this hormone, it creates all these, this puts out of balance the whole, you know, system. And this is what it is, why it is caused. And usually the hot flashes comes during the night, you know, you wake up and then, you know, if it happens for several nights, your brain just records that as it has to be awake. And your brain just creates that routine. And that's how insomnia gets, you know, becomes a condition for the menopause. One of them, but there are lots of other issues. For example, the level of coping during menopause decreases because the coping and everything gets down because we are not anymore capable to cope with all these symptoms, with all the stress in our life, with the problems, which probably in normal life condition, we were more able to cope. But now everything changes. This cortisol hormone is released in a huge amount, abnormal amount, and which makes us react differently, respond differently to everything, to our symptoms. And this is why the insomnia and all other symptoms of menopause happen.
So what are some of the things that you actually help with menopausal women with sleeping issues?
What I teach on my workshops for menopause is that quality of life is extremely helpful. So they have that means your diet, movement, daily movement, water, drinking water is highly important. So many women that not so many, but some women that I have coached have told me that they don't drink water during the day, maybe one glass for the whole day. That's bad. That affects the hot flashes. And then consumption of vitamins and minerals are extremely important, especially vitamin D, vitamin B6 and B12, because they help with, you know, mental health. And also they release serotonin, which is the happy hormone. And then calcium as well, magnesium. Calcium is important because of the bones, because during the menopause, many women have reported that they probably thought that they have got the osteoporosis or other sarcopenia, which is another condition where women start to lose muscles. And this is as a result of decrease of estrogen. It's not the condition. So that's why quality of life is hugely important. They have to make changes. They have to do things that they probably haven't done before. Now, this stage, you know, people perceive menopause negatively because of the changes, but there are women who perceive menopause as positive. For example, is the stage of life where women becomes more mature, more confident about making decision in life. They have more time to look after themselves. Most of them who have children have grown up, they have got separate lives. So, and then the good thing is that they can share this experience with other women, you know, where you don't feel alone. You are not someone who you are experiencing all these symptoms on your own. But unfortunately, many of them view menopause very negatively. It's still a taboo and stigma because some women may associate menopause with getting old, with old age.
Mhm.
And the problem is sometimes in workplace, these women, you know, it affected so badly that they lost confidence. They don't go to be promoted. They don't accept promotion because they lost confidence, and they can see that they are not as good as they have been, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
So it's always good to raise awareness of these women, managers, and the whole members of staff, even men, to be more empathetic and to understand that this is the stage that no one can escape from, but someone can go through more dramatic experience, someone can pass it more lightly, but it's always good, you know, to be more open discussion about menopause.
So just wondering, because I'm also a coach, so does it come into self-image in the end? Like why some people don't accept the menopause so easily and some people do? Like, is it something about that I should be something, or I'm competing with the younger ones who are still like more fertile and vital and beautiful, or is there these kind of ideas behind the kind of the fighting, the natural thing that happens to everyone?
Yes, Nora, that's stigma. That's the probably some women cannot accept that they have come to that age that, you know, but when we see, you know, women has passed through different stages in life, difficult stages, starting from puberty, being pregnant, giving birth, and now probably menopause is the hardest stage in life because probably maybe they have forgotten about previous experiences. You know, they thought, oh, now I'm free, I finished everything. But then suddenly, boom, comes menopause, which is really difficult because it combines with getting older, with aging. We are not anymore, when you reach that stage, women are not any more capable. They are not as strong to cope with all these changes as they were younger, you know. But it can be healed. It can get better with change of lifestyle, with diet. In diet, usually it's good to use proteins, you know, because protein it takes longer to digest. So you're less likely to get meal in between, to get snacks in between, fruit, vegetables, fiber, because your metabolism, you know, decreases. So you have to be very careful what you eat, because during menopause, women have put on weight. They put on weight during the belly part, even if they don't eat more, but it's just, they need just a slight switch of diet, just a little bit of improvement in diet to feel better. And also the most important thing during menopause is that women has to have time to look after themselves. They have to put themselves first. And this is a cultural thing, not only in my community, but I have read a book. Even in England, even everywhere, women is just created to do things for others more than for themselves. So this is the stage that we have to think about ourselves to prevent ourselves from development of any possible or potential chronic illnesses, which is associated with old age. And if we don't change, if we don't improve the lifestyle, everything is just, you know, we are just creating platform for other conditions to develop.
Right. And I think it's really about the story that we tell ourselves. 85% of my clients have been women over the last 17 years. And it really comes down to the story that they're telling themselves. And I have two stories or two visuals to introduce to people. And it's first is the image of Hecate. It is the stages of women's life. It is the maiden, it is the mother, and ultimately the crone. It is the medicine woman, it is the village elder, it is the wise elder that we all go to. It is the final stage, and it is the most powerful stage. So there's lots of ways to look at this, but menopause is ultimately women stepping into the last and final stage of their power. And it's a way that I don't think people look at it enough. Without the crone, no one is going to teach the mother how to deliver the babies. And the mother is not going to be able to teach the maiden how to find the right partner to be the mother. It is a cycle that has to be honored all the way through.
Yeah.
So it is the image is Hecate, and that is the first image I give to people. The second image is Ellie, Elle. And this comes from Norse mythology, because in all of Norse mythology, no deity or spirit or anything was ever able to best Thor except for Ellie. Why? Because she herself is the spirit of old age, and absolutely no being in all of observable creation can ever escape the power of old age. Everything is bound by entropy. So you might as well lean into the process and make it fun. So these are the two images I give to people. You're never going to escape this. So we might as well find a way to make it healthy and manageable.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And of course, our society is like all about being young and being beautiful. Like we have a lot of pressure as women to kind of, if we start the game of comparing ourselves to the other ones. So I think it's actually the state, and I don't know anything about menopause. I'm still 10 years away from it, so I don't know. This is just guessing, but I think it's about, if you didn't turn inside before, now it's the time. And if you are now finally facing yourself and learning who you are, it's a rougher process to do it during this time when you are in the turbulence of kind of like becoming the old and abandoned lady, you know. Like I think the women who are stronger and who know themselves better, this is my guess, they might get this process easier and more accepting. Is it like?
Absolutely. Definitely. When you change the attitude towards menopause, that's improvement. The menopause will be improved as soon as they start to see it in a more positive way, to accept it. You know, you have to accept something which is part of you. Love it. It's you. It's your thing. And it's not, you are not alone. Everybody is going through that. Everybody will go through that if they live, you know. So as soon as they accept, then the half of the job is done. So they then can proceed with things that they have to do to improve.
Yeah. So we are starting to be in the end of the 45 minutes. That is normally the length of this. So let's do a round of last words about this topic. Anything you want to share? Christina, do you want to start?
I just think it's really fascinating. I really am not educated in insomnia or sleep, so I've learned so much. But I'd just like to know if there are any tips or any last words that you could give our viewers, Valbona, that could enrich or help with the insomnia.
Well, I think I gave all the information. If anyone is suffering from insomnia, don't think that you cannot go over that. I have suffered for 3 years and I can sleep now for 9 hours. You know, my husband is saying that I started to snore. I never know what snoring is. You know, even as a child, I never slept that nicely. I always had the very light sleep. Now I go to bed 1, 2, 3. I go to deep sleep until the alarm wakes me up. So I have come over insomnia, and I believe any one of you, just believe in yourself. Don't suffer. Ask for help. You may go to GP or doctors to ask for medication, but it's always good to try the natural way of healing your insomnia. Don't wait there. Don't wait for another day. Don't say that, okay, this is my routine and there is nothing I can do. I'm just going to agree with my destiny. I'm going to stay till 3, 2 o'clock in the morning because, so don't wait, take action, and I hope you get the.
So Valbona, if people want to find you and get help with their insomnia or menopause, how do they reach you?
It's very easy. I believe everybody has got the Facebook account or Instagram account. They can find me with my name. I've got middle name Tunuzliu, but probably they can find me with Valbona Mejzini. It comes up my middle surname, my maiden surname. And yeah, they can message me. If they need any help from me, they can give me a ring. I can explain to them how I work as a coach, what method I use, and anything that they want to know about my method of coaching insomnia or menopause.
Perfect.
as well.
We will have your name written down and maybe even a link to your Facebook in
Yeah.
the comment box of this video. So they will find you, because I have to admit your name is a little bit difficult for me to spell. So I wouldn't find it.
You
based on-
always spelled it correctly, Nora.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
So Amos, any last words from
No, I want to just remind our viewers, lean into the process. Please don't be afraid of the process. The subject of sleeplessness and insomnia is something that I've dealt with personally. My husband found out that he has a cerebral variant, which is extra lobes of gray matter on the right hemisphere of the brain, which is something that you won't find out without extreme testing. Don't be afraid of the blood work. Don't be afraid of the sleep study. Don't be afraid of an MRI or a CT scan. It's important. We need to know these things. We love the natural way, as always, but that didn't work for us. We had to go the whole full gamut, and it took us extra long. I'll tell you to work backwards. Go medical, then if it doesn't work, go natural. That's my 2 cents. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and you can always reach out to me directly.
Great. And Amos is one of our members of the Global Healing Circle, so you will hear a lot more wisdom from him in the becoming episodes. Thank you very much. This was a pleasure, and I learned also a lot. As a healer, I could get like the biggest message that calming down the nervous system. So do some grounding. That's why the minerals probably also work. Drink a lot of water and go into meditative state, so that will calm you down and you will sleep better. But all these amazing tips that we had today, take those also in your repertoire. What do you have there, Amos? As a mineral.
Just the black
turmalin.
tourmaline.
Beautiful. Sucking all the bad energy away. Right. Thank you very much. And thank you, Valbona, for being here. This was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Nora. And it was pleasure to meet you, Amos and Christina as well.
Nice to meet you too.
Have a lovely evening.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.